Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom. Happy Tuesday, day after Labor Day. I'm struggling to get the motor running today.
Why is that?
Different location, holiday weekend, a little too much sun.
Just goofed off yesterday?
Goofed off yesterday, read a whole lot, watched tennis last night, was just thumbing around, and there was a really good tennis match going on at U.S. Open. I watched that till about 10:30, and then I couldn't keep my eyes open any longer. And so here I am today. How about you? How are you today?
Doing well, thanks. It's not the start of a new month. I keep thinking it's the start of the new month, and it's not. It's the start of a new week, but it seems like the start of a new month with a holiday Monday so close to the start of the month. That
yes.
And it's a new feeling, a lot of kids are back in school. People are going back to work. My wife was talking about they're starting everybody 3-day in the office work week. So I think it just feels like a different time now that it's Labor Day has passed.
Well, I think everyone gets serious, right?
I think so. Although I have a feeling that today will be one of those days where people like you are figuring it out.
Yes.
They're a little slow from the holiday weekend. They probably did something to sort of celebrate the end of summer, as we did yesterday. And so I think that people are probably moving a little bit slow. I believe it will pick up and that people will be diving in. And I think any day you have a holiday on a Monday, everybody now has a longer weekend and they also have a shorter week. So either they're more focused, and I think if we went back in one of our episodes, we talked about that, or they are like, okay, the weekend is coming again quicker than usual, so let's celebrate that.
Yes. Although I'm a firm believer that 4-day work weeks are worse than 5 days.
You've said that before, and
Yeah.
I tend to. I don't know how I feel about that. I think it's more about. I'm not sure it's about the number of days. I think it's about the quality of the work that you do in the time that you are working.
Yes.
I think there's that old feeling of you need to show up, and showing up is most of the battle. There's also the part of, can you get the work done? And how efficiently and effectively do you do that? And if you can do that, why do you have to work 8 hours a day?
Sounds like a renegade thought, Tom.
Well, it's a good thought to move us towards our dun dun dun. If you haven't been following along, this is our 400th episode of today's Antidote. So if you've been following on the podcast, we haven't been on a podcast that long. If you've been following in our Ring of Renegades Facebook group on Facebook or YouTube, this is our 400th episode. So hard to believe. So we're going to do a little celebrating like we always do. And we hope that you will celebrate along with us. And part of the way we celebrate every show, the show where we try to have a discussion around a topic, and then at the end of the show, we come up with our one thing, our antidote, the thing to help you move forward, whether today or sometime in the future. So let's jump right into our celebration. Bob, take it away. You're our celebration guy.
I got a good one. This one really hits me close personally. It is National Grateful Patient Day. This is an opportunity to show our appreciation for the hardworking professionals in the medical industry, the doctors, the nurses, the interns, the radiologists, you name it, as well as the families and caregivers of anyone who has received life-giving medical care. Now, I'm someone who over the course of my last 30 years has had lots of life-giving care from not just medical professionals, but also my wife, family, friends. I would not be here without that. So this means a whole lot to me. And it's interesting, this came about because of an NFL football player. Remember Rolf Winterska?
Yes. Kicker for the Chargers a million years ago.
Yes, very nice. He had ulcerative colitis, had to have ostomy surgery, and then got hepatitis C from his numerous blood transfusions, almost lost his life. September 7th, 1980, he made an improbable and nearly impossible comeback to the NFL after his illness. His 2 field goals and 4 extra points contributed to the Chargers' 34-13 win over the Seahawks. Because of that, they led that day, and he represents that whole idea of how life-giving medical care can get us to places we wouldn't have been able to go without it.
Interesting.
I thought you'd like the story, and I love it because, to me, the story around it makes it resonates even more. This isn't just someone said, let's make it National Rutabaga Day, but there's a reason and there's a logic to it. And I knew you'd like that most of all because you seem to be skeptical of these things.
I would say that is correct. Although this one, I guess I'm not skeptical. I'm just, they make me stop and go, okay. This one, I think, is a good day. It's a good celebration of, and it's interesting. It's not celebrating necessarily the medical profession, right? The day is National Grateful Patient Day.
Yeah.
So it's a celebration of those grateful patients like you who are willing to share their gratitude with the people who have helped them recover from whatever it is.
And with COVID over the last 16, 17 months, lots of people were really sick. And people who had never been sick before suddenly are getting care, whether it's in their home because they feel like they've been run over by a truck for 2 weeks, or in a medical facility, or anywhere else. So that it really resonates to me this year more than ever. And Tim's tracking with me. Tim says, you and me both, Bob, I'm so grateful for medical professionals. I know Tim's had some medical issues too over his life, and it's great. It's just a great day. You don't understand the value of someone providing you care until you are unable to provide your own care.
Sure. The question is, how do you celebrate this day?
I'm going to celebrate this day by sending email and text to a couple of medical professionals. I'll probably send my wife a nice note and a couple other people in my life who have made a huge difference. There are, Tom, literally there are hundreds of people that have contributed to my medical care, including 4 guys that I worked with years ago who each wrote a check for $100 to help me get a prescription I couldn't afford. I don't know where those 4 guys are today, but if I knew, I'd be sending them a note going, guys, you're not going to believe it. Your $100 was a really good investment.
Well, it's interesting. In some regards, isn't this a day that the medical field should be thanking you for being grateful? We're celebrating grateful patients, right? It's the National Day of Grateful Patients, not the National Day of Medical Professionals. It's the National Day of Grateful Patients.
What it says here is National Grateful Patient Day provides an opportunity to show appreciation for the hardworking professionals in the medical industry, as well as the family caregivers of anyone receiving life-giving medical care. It also honors the indomitable spirit of these courageous patients who are grateful to be alive. So it's two-pronged.
Yes.
People who are grateful to be alive and the people who helped it be possible.
I agree. Well, so I think that's be an interesting renegade decision for the medical profession to reach out to those people who have been grateful. If I was in my fundraising role at a hospital, would be a great day to say a thank you note to those who donated back to the hospital to show their gratitude as a way to say, hey, you know what? Yes, this is a day to celebrate you because you were so kind and gracious to be grateful back to the people who served you. How about that for a thought?
That's a heavy thought. I'm going to go with Tim's comment. I was not aware of the day, but I sent a letter to the surgeon that replaced my old pacemaker with a new one that took me out of pain. Dr. Charles Chuck Hennickson up at Oregon Health and Science University, an absolutely amazing man. There you go. Notice how out of pain, a man who takes someone out of pain, and an amazing person. I can tell you there are a couple people in my medical care who took me out of pain, who solved riddles that no one else could solve. They go very high on my list. And then Tom says the following: indomitable. Can you give me a definition? And then from my sister, good morning. Congrats on your 400th episode. I'm grateful to be celebrating with you too. It's very kind. Nice. Very nice. Very nice.
Thanks, Beth.
So Tom, we should get to our topic today. Although this is the renegade world that we're in, right? This is being a renegade. A renegade is someone who finds something that the average person isn't paying attention to and commits some energy to it. Might lead to a business, might lead to a hobby, might lead to creating a 5K walk. It could lead to creating a day to celebrate grateful patients. That's the whole name of the game when you're a renegade, right?
Sure. Well, I think what's interesting is I think that grateful patients are renegades. They don't have to do anything, right? It's their job. If you could say that in the medical profession, it's their job to serve people. It's their job to, they take an oath to help people get better. And so as the patient, they are just doing their job. Those that are grateful and appreciative of the work that is done they are renegades because they don't have to be. It's like giving a good tip. You don't have to give a tip, not required. What? You are paying for the service.
This is new information. I just spent a lot of money at a dinner the other day. You mean I didn't have to give them a tip?
You didn't have to. That's your choice. So you are doing it by your choice. And again, you could give the standard 15%. Whoever came up with that, however they came up with that, I don't know. That would be that's what is expected. There are people out there, and you see them all the time popping up on Facebook, who leave $1,000 tip, who leave $150 tip, who make a 50% tip or 100% tip because they feel like that's what they should do, not because somebody told them they had to. It's because that's what they felt was real for them in the moment. And I think as we think about what being a renegade is, and the topic for today is what it means, is that you choose what you want to do. Not because somebody told you to, not because somebody thought that was what you should do, not because you're going against convention.
This program.
Sorry, I don't know what button I hit, but all of a sudden I heard the beginning all over again. I apologize.
Well, you're trying to go
that opener so much. I just like to hear my voice and your voice over and over.
Well, what's interesting, neither of our voices.
Bob Graham and Tom Brush. Do. I like to do it in my. Sometimes I just play it so I can do that.
That's what it means to be a renegade, to go off script. Although
there's no script, Tom. Come on, let's not lie to people.
Well, there is a script, sort of. There is a
I didn't get my copy.
You don't have to have a copy of a script to have a script.
Oh, fair.
So I think that's just part of it all, of what it means to be a renegade, is that you choose. You make the choice. You made the choice to do that. Did I yell at you? No. I'd be like, Bob, what are you doing? Are we going to go back and edit it out? No.
We haven't edited anything out yet. And we're if only we could edit in real time.
We need the 5-second delay where somebody can be like, cut that part.
That's it.
No, I just think
Can I suggest some things about being a renegade?
Of course.
Okay. Well, I feel somewhat qualified because I wrote a book on the topic.
This book?
Yeah, that book, The Renegade Way. And to me, Tom, being a renegade is deciding what it is you're meant to do and pursuing it completely. Not partially, not once in a while, not when it feels like it's easy, but frankly, when it's hard. The days that it's hard to me, that's when you're being a renegade, because most people would say, oh, this idea is crazy. I give up. It's not working the way I meant to. The renegade to me is the person who goes to one more networking event and another one after that. And they just keep going until they figure it out. And if they're in an office and they're leading a team and they had their 2-hour meeting and it didn't go well, they come back a week later and have another meeting and try something different. And then they might have a third meeting, and they might have a fourth meeting. It might take 10, 20, 50 tries, but you'll find your way. And each time, of course, you have what some people call failure, or it doesn't work the way you meant or wanted it to go. That gets you closer to what you're trying to do. And the renegade is the one that sees that through. I want to add a couple of comments. John Hansen says, renegades have no plan B. It is plan A. And I think, you change things along the way, but you are focused on what you're trying to accomplish. He also adds, renegades are the elite. And finally, the renegades are the ones who want to be better than they were yesterday. And I like that. I like that definition. And better being whatever.
Yeah, I guess the only word I would change is different. Right? If you look back at yesterday and you say, hey, this is what I did yesterday, how can I be a little different?
But moving towards a goal, which would be getting a little better, or maybe getting closer to your goal, right?
And I like the fact the word want is in there. I think maybe that, then that doesn't, because I don't think we're always going to be better. I mean, we can try. And I think that's the point, is that we want to be better. We want to find a way to do it differently than we did yesterday. And
you got some weird lighting stuff going on now, Tom. You had a light turn off, and now your shirt's see-through, and we can see the wood paneling behind. You have a desk going through your chest.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. So just keep talking.
It looked like a light flickered off. Did one of your lights go off?
No, we're good. Don't worry about it. The people on the podcast don't care.
In the middle.
The people on the podcast don't care because they can't see it.
So if you're on the podcast, Tom has a white shirt on. He has a nice background, one of those green screen backgrounds, and it's got some wood paneling. And now we can see wood paneling in his shirt, which is a really nice effect.
It's just a different colored shirt. That's all. Changes color.
You're a chameleon, blending into your surroundings.
Yeah, I don't think I'm a chameleon. Well, maybe. I don't know.
I've been accused of being a chameleon.
Well, maybe being a chameleon is a renegade. I think it depends on why they think you're being a chameleon. If you're trying to, some people might say that as you're trying to fit in, right?
Chameleon, or adapt to the situation. Not so much fit in, to me, adapt.
Correct. And I think those are the two ways to look at it. Some people might be like, oh, you know what? They just go with the wind and do whatever everyone else is doing. Or you can look at it as you are adapting to every new situation that you're in based on what is real in the moment, rather than just fitting in because that's what everybody else is doing.
So,
and I think,
Tom, I'm sorry. No, I was going to say, so Tom, we've talked about this a little bit, but give me your working definition of what a renegade is.
Interesting. I don't know. I think my working definition.
How are we doing the Ring of Renegades? How you open the book with your forward and not have a working definition?
Well, I think there's a difference between what the definition is and what it means. Okay. So I think definition, you've got to be very precise about what it exactly is. And I think what's challenging about that with the renegade is that it can be different for others. What's real for everyone is different. And so I think if I was going to try to define it, it would be someone who chooses their own unique pathway And they do it because that's what they want to do, believe in what they are doing. And it's achieving the goal that they want to achieve. That it's not set up by someone else, that it's not determined by the surroundings, that it is the pathway that they have chosen, and that they want to travel. And I think it's as much about the traveling as it is the whatever the endpoint, the destination might be.
And a lot of people I would call renegades, to add on to your definition, feel called in some way. The stars align, the information comes to them, it all packages nice, neat, and they go, wow, I'm meant to do this now. And what I like is those renegades that really are committed to doing something that others haven't done. There's a power that comes from that. It's not to say all renegades are that way. I mean, I would argue that you could be a renegade if, well, I worked for a company at one point and I started doing stand-up meetings in the middle of the bullpen area. And it was because everyone said my group wasn't doing any real work. And so I just put them right in the middle, and we'd have a huddle every morning. We'd figure stuff out. People would walk by, they'd look over and be like, what are they doing? Oh, they're having a meeting. Did that for about a month and a half and suddenly changed everything. But I had told 2 supervisors of mine I was going to do it, and they're like, it's not going to work. You can't do that. It's the bullpen area. Everyone's going to hear you. It's going to be really disruptive. I did it anyway. I knew it could work, and I saw it through. And after the first day, and the employees standing up did not like it at all. They're like, this is really bad. It's awkward. I'm so embarrassed. We're standing up in front of everyone. I'm like, I don't care. We're going to go through our meeting. And what it did was it sped up our meetings and made things more efficient. And it also gave us a communication tool that we would use. And we did it at 8:30 in the morning for a while. And then someone said, we should do one of these in the early afternoon. So we did a second one. And then other groups in the company started to do stand-up meetings. And after about a year, there were like 9 different stand-up meetings over the course of a day. You just see little pods of people standing up, having meetings all the time. That's not a huge renegade idea, but think about it. It changed an organization. It improved communication. It got people to realize other people were working really hard. It did some of the things that employers, companies are trying to do all the time. And believe me, no one thought it would work except me. And I saw it through, and that's the key.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because I think a lot of times we don't know that we're being a renegade. I think that's the hard part. Is so everyone thinks that the rebel is that they're the same. And like you can look at someone and say, oh, that person is being a rebel or being a renegade. And I think when it's you who's being the renegade, you don't always know that you're just doing it because it's like you're not trying to qualify it as this is what I am. It's just the way you are. I just think about all the times in my life that I chose my own pathway, even though it was not convention and it was not always the easiest way. It was the way that was real for me. And I don't think I ever would have identified myself in that point as a renegade. That's why I think it's hard sometimes for people to see themselves or see the true renegade inside of them, is because they're just doing what they believe is what's real for them. And so it's not like this big, glorious, great thing. It just is what's real. And that they have chosen that, like you said, because it's their calling, or it's just, this is what they believe is the pathway for them. And I think what's hard is it's not always supported. That's the biggest challenge, I think, is that when you choose to do something that most people don't understand why you're doing it, may not even agree with it, actually may be detractors from it, is when I believe that's when you are becoming a renegade. Is you are not as worried about what everyone else thinks you're more focused on what you believe.
So Tom, it's that time.
Okay.
What's your one thing?
Well, it's hard when the topic is being a renegade and what it means, and then you ask me to give a definition. That might be. I think I think my one thing today about what it means to be a renegade is, that it's really about you. It's finding what's real for you, and being okay with that, and understanding that it's okay, and then confidently choosing to follow that path. I think so often we have those thoughts about this is what is real for me, and we're afraid to take the first step, mostly because we've shared that with someone else and they don't agree.
Or don't understand.
Correct.
Or don't have the frame of reference, right?
Correct.
They can't understand you. I can't understand your whole entire life, and you can't understand my whole entire life. You can understand parts of it, but there are parts that you can't, right?
Absolutely. And you never will, because you don't have the same knowledge, experience, or perspective. It is unique unto you. And so I think my one thing is, it means that you are willing to follow your knowledge, experience, and perspective to the path of your choosing. And you don't let others stand in the way of that. It's not easy. It's hard, because you are doing what you believe to be real, and people can't understand that. And, I think that's why we formed the Ring of Renegades, is to create a space for people who were feeling that way, who weren't quite sure. They wouldn't have defined themselves as a renegade, I don't think. I think many people, if you asked in that group, are you a renegade? And they might not have, I don't know that they would have chosen that word. And now I believe that as they start to think about what they have done, what their knowledge, experience, and perspective brings, that has helped them see themselves in that light.
I like all that. That's great. I would add one thing to it, which is being a renegade doesn't mean that you go out and change everything in the world. It can be little things. It can be having a different kind of meeting. It can be having a different kind of performance review. It can be changing a policy or procedure at work that helps the customer and helps the company. It doesn't have to be, I found the cure for cancer, or and I think sometimes we get in our heads the whole idea that you're only a renegade if you do big things like Elon Musk and Bill Gates. But there are a million renegades every day doing a whole bunch of small. Now your light's back. What did you do?
I didn't do anything.
That's the craziest thing. It literally just switched.
I see that.
Tom's being a renegade. Most people would have gotten their lighting worked out for the day. Not Tom. He's struggling with the lighting today.
I just go.
But it's all okay, because you're still pursuing your mission right now, which is to help people understand what being a renegade is and take comfort in that and grow within that. So the lighting is very immaterial in what we're trying to accomplish overall.
Correct.
All right, Tom, it's that time where you get to say the word private.
Not sure that's the best lead up. Anyhow, thanks so much for joining us today. Again, on our 400th episode of today's Antidote.
Amazing.
So we appreciate all of you who have been watching. There are some who have probably listened to almost all 400 or watched almost all 400. Thank you for doing that. Thank you also for sharing it. And thank you to those who chose to be a part of our group, who started to see themselves as a renegade. And if you're struggling with that, you think you might be, you want to choose the path that you believe in, and you're struggling with it, please go to the renegadesuccessnetwork.com. We can help you feel more confident and comfortable with the choices that you are making. If you're listening to this on the podcast, please feel free to share it with your friends or families. You can subscribe You can like it. You can join us, like the cat just did in the background, every day. We podcast every day, and it can be found on just about any podcast service that you use. So please feel free to become a part of our growing community there. You can also join our Ring of Renegades Facebook group. It's easy to do. Just go to Facebook, search for Ring of Renegades. You do have to ask to join because, as Bob mentioned, it is a private group. You just have to tell us why you are a renegade, and then you can become a part of our growing community where we are trying to help people take the next step along their own unique pathway to success. So with that, thanks so much for being with us today, being a part of our 400th episode. Bum, bum, bum.
To the next 400, Tom.
To the next 400 and beyond. We look
very,
forward. What's that?
Very Buzz Lightyear. To infinity and beyond.
Why not? All right, everyone. Thanks so much. Have a great day and a great start to your week. And we will see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, for our next edition of today's Antidote. Have a great day.
Hey, embrace the renegading you.
Thanks for listening to today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.